Hi, Doug Casey here, Down to Earth Golf. Somebody's asked questions about the rough and what that does to the golf ball, or how you can adjust for it, or things like that. So let's talk about it. I got a ball sitting here in the rough. I hope you can see that. Not long rough. This would be probably typical rough on most of your golf courses that you play. Deep rough is a little different. But let's talk about this one first. So, a couple things. First of all, grooves on golf clubs. If you didn't have grooves on golf clubs, and you hit a shot from the fairway or from a mat, it wouldn't make any difference at all. Really wouldn't, very, very minimal difference. The grooves in the golf club are made to absorb grass so that more club face gets on the ball, especially in a situation like this. Because what happens is, grass gets in between the club and the ball in this shot, and it takes spin away from the golf ball. It spits it out more like a knuckleball, obviously not quite like a knuckleball, but with a lot less spin. And that does a few things. Usually, believe it or not, it makes the ball go further. So we call that a flyer lie. You hear them on the TV say, oh, you got a flyer or you got a jumper. And what they mean by that is there's grass in between the club and the ball just takes off. And it doesn't come down, it doesn't spin, so it doesn't kind of rise up and come down. It just goes on a flat path, which is what you want for your driver, by the way. So you want to know that. Now, a couple things about being in the rough here. You want, if you can, to decrease the amount of grass you're going to get between the ball and the club. So if I'm a sweeper, and a draw swing is usually a sweeper swing, you can see if the club comes in really shallow like this, I'm going to get more rough in between that club and that ball. If I come in a little steeper, I'm going to get less rough between the club and the ball and probably get better contact. So if you can, you'd like to be able to hit a fade from this lie. Because with a fade, the club is going to be coming from the outside and it's going to be coming down steeper. You're going to get less grass between the club and the ball, better contact, and more normal shot. If you really have trouble with these, if you hit them fat a lot, it's because you come in too shallow and you get all that grass in between the club and the ball. So that's the biggest advice I have, is try to get steeper on these swings. Now again, just like with the uneven lies, if you watch that video, we might want to put the ball back in our stance a little bit, again, to help get down to that ball a little steeper with that angle of attack. Recognizing what the ball is going to do at the rough is experience. And even those experienced players aren't sure, it's just a guess. The more you do it, the better your guess is. Okay, let's look at one deep in the rough. So it's fall here in Victoria, and I've got pretty thick rough because it has some good rain. And I've got a ball that might be sitting down in the rough like this. I hope you can see this. There's grass all the way around this ball. There comes a point when the rough becomes so thick and you get so much grass that's going to come between the ball and the club that you can't take a low lofted club. I've got my 7-iron here, but for me, probably the 7-iron is going to come out. I would say if you didn't have the club head speed that I have, you might want to take a 9-iron to get this out. So even though you're 200 yards from the green, I would rather on this lie take a 9-iron, hit it the 120 yards, whatever it's going to go, back in the fairway, than to try to take your 200-yard club and just muff it and leave it in this rough, or hurt yourself. So you got to be careful with these lies. Okay, you want to recognize that, boy, you know what? That's just not going to come out with a 4-iron is not going to come out of there. That I might need to take a lofted club. Now hybrids tend to come out of these lies better than longer irons. They have a little more loft on them. They've got a thicker sole on them, so they go through the rough a little easier. So sometimes like a 4 or 5 hybrid might get out of there, but a 4-iron or a 3-iron, it's not coming out of here. So you want to be aware of that too. So again, experience will help you with these lies. Move the ball back in your stance if you want. Try to come down steeper on them, which usually means you're going to hit a fade. Again, the angle of attack, this is what I mean by steeper. This will be shallow. So try to come down steeper on them. It will help you get less grass between that club head and the ball, and hopefully be able to control it more than normal. The only other thing is hit more fairways. All right, good golfing.